Hey everybody, welcome back to James Draws Everything. Continuing today with our Drawing Every Country in the World's Flag series. And today, going back into the Pacific Ocean, and we're going to be doing the Solomon Islands. So Solomon Islands, a chain of islands, island country in the Pacific Ocean, slightly west of Papua New Guinea. And just like a lot of these Pacific Ocean countries have a pretty similar history, right? A lot of kind of different groups coming and going over the years, and just kind of creating like their ethnic like sort of identity. Hold on one second here. Some black stuff on my yellow marker. Yeah, so the Solomons, settlers from Papua, which is like modern day Papua New Guinea. They arrived about 30,000 years ago. And Austronesian, modern day, Aboriginal Australians arrived there about 6,000 years ago, and those groups kind of mixed to sort of create their own race on the Solomon Islands. And it's one of those places that doesn't really have like a specific ethnic identity, really, just because it's sort of just kind of at a crossroads, and never really functioned as like a state, as far as like what we think of states as in the modern sense. Then in the 16th century, the Spanish show up, right? So Spain kind of expanding their empire into the Pacific Ocean. And they were the first Europeans to arrive there. And they tried to create a permanent settlement that failed. And the Solomon Islands actually, due to that, they remained relatively free of European influence and settlement until 1767, when the British arrived. So 1767, 18th century, the British, very strong, probably the height of their empire. As I mentioned, the Spanish, tried, but by the 18th century, the Spanish Empire is pretty much a done thing. So, big reason why the British are, kind of setting up shop there is due to the whaling industry, and the United States is kind of doing the same thing. So British and American ships are kind of using the Solomons as like a base in the 19th century, Pacific Ocean, for trade and all that stuff. And then you can't forget that the Germans, they also had an interest in the Pacific in the 19th century. And the German Pacific Empire is kind of one of those things that's kind of not really talked about a lot in history, but it's probably a little bit more important than it's given credit for. Like the Solomons, Guam, and some of the first shots in World War I between the United States and the Central Powers were actually in the Pacific with Guam. So not really related to what we're talking about today with the Solomons, but it's always one of those little historical curiosities that I find kind of cool. So yeah, 1885, the Germans declare a protectorate over them, and the UK, they established a protectorate over the southern half, so it's like North German, South British. And then in 1899, Germany transfers the islands to the UK in exchange for Samoa, right? So Samoa, very German, until World War One. So the Solomons stay British for the next several decades. And then just as a lot of countries in the Pacific and like World War II, once we start getting into the 40s, they become occupied by Japan. So in 1942, Japan invades, and that's kind of a very important part of World War II as far as the United States goes. Future President John F. Kennedy, actually, he gets his plane shot down in the Solomons, and I'm not a big Kennedy fan. I think he's overrated, but as far as his historical legacy and whatnot, he did save a lot of his men that day, kind of the old-fashioned way, swimming them to safety, after the plane got, I forget if it was like a plane or a ship, or I think it was a ship, like an aircraft carrier, or who knows? Look it up. But either way, that's why JFK became kind of like a war hero, was because of his efforts in the Solomons. So there's been a bit of a revisionism about that lately too. Like they say, like, was Kennedy like disobeying orders, like even being there in the first place when he shouldn't have been? But either way, he saved his men, and James draws everything. James loves heroes. We honor heroic achievements and sacrifice and all of that. So good on you, JFK, for doing that, whether you were supposed to be there or not. And then so after World War II, like, we're getting into the decolonization period. So like 1960s, the British allow some local autonomy for the Solomons, and they were granted self-government in 1976 and independence 2 years later. So they've been an independent country, part of the international community since the late 70s. And we'll just kind of close off the flag here. And James, what's been going on in the Solomons since independence? Well, it's been a little rough. You think of the Pacific Islands, everybody's just chilling and drinking out of coconuts and all that. Not really in the Solomon Islands. They did have a civil war for a long period of time, almost up to like the 2000s, and their government has gone bankrupt multiple times. They pretty much completely rely on international assistance to establish law and order in the state. They rely a lot on Australia for that, because Australia is kind of like the policeman of the Pacific. And even into like the mid to late 2000s, there's still like massive riots and stuff like that are protesting like the Solomon government, and yeah, pretty much to this day. So not one of the more peaceful places in the Pacific Ocean. Pacific, pacify. right? Pacific means peace. Not really here. So, yeah, that's the Solomon Islands. Not a country that you hear a lot about, right? Because, you know, again, you think of these Pacific Island countries as just kind of being, you know, just sort of good neighbors. You know, they don't bother anybody and nobody bothers them. But yeah, the Solomons are a slightly different case there. So, James, what does the flag mean? So, as you can see, it's divided by a yellow stripe, and it's got 5 white stars. The blue, come on, you know what the blue means, right? You've been paying attention to my channel for more than 5 seconds. Island countries, the blue means that beautiful, peaceful, well, not in this case, but peaceful Pacific Ocean. The green is for the land, right? The beautiful, fertile land of the Solomons. And the yellow means the sunshine, so kind of separating the ocean from the land. And the 5 stars stand for the 5 main island groups of the Solomon Islands. So it's not just 5 islands. There's a lot of islands there. It's a group, archipelago, if you want to call it that. So that is the Solomon Islands. So let me know what you think. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you on the next video.